Liz, and welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So good to see you and talk to you. Thank you for being here. We have Liz Borom with us today. And Liz, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, about where you started dancing and where you are now?
Sure. Okay, so I currently I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. We moved here about 2.5, I guess 3 years ago from Atlanta. And it's me and my husband Steve and our son Isaac, and he's 9. And I grew up in the South. I started dancing in South Carolina. Way back when, competing and dancing for various studios. And then I kind of decided I just wanted a bunch of technical training, and I wanted to get really serious into ballet. And so when I became into high school, I just started dancing for ballet companies. And then I went to the South Carolina Government School for the Arts for a little bit, and then went to college for 2 years before I decided that may not have been the route for me. I was a little not an academic student and just wanted to dance. And so then I left and just took on dancing professionally and gigging, and just started working my career from there, trying to make ends meet young. And this is, of course, all before we had the access to outlets like internet and stuff like that. I was talking to a colleague the other day. It's like, remember when we had to get all our jobs looking in magazines and classifieds in New York City, and how insane that was. So yeah, I just kind of started taking on various jobs and projects and professional gigs and commercials and anything I could grab onto that way. So, and now I am on faculty for a convention called the Platinum Dance Collective and the Platinum Dance Experience. And I am part of the creative team for a company called The Relative Motion with Jamie Goodwin and Kara Dixon. And I'm a T-Spheres Master Instructor and an adjunct dance professor at Western Carolina University. And I just kind of freelance teach across the country. It's kind of my passion, so.
You are so awesome. I love following you on Instagram, and I'm like, where is Liz today? Let's see it. Well, your dance history is so amazing. And what I specifically want to talk about today, and I mean, we could talk for hours and hours about everything. Really, where do we even go with that? There's so many outlets. But what I want to talk to you about specifically is your guest teaching. And you go and teach all over the country for different studios and setting pieces and teaching classes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I want to say there became a point in my career where I just kind of felt like I was trying to do too many things that didn't really satisfy where I wanted to be. And it was you gig for so long and you say yes to everything. And at the time I had, at one point was dancing for 3 different professional companies and still had an agent. I mean, just crazy stuff. And I just kind of sat down and was like, all right, what do I find the most fulfilling, and what am I really good at? Because right now I feel really spread apart. They talk about kind of burning candles at both ends, and I've always loved what I do, and I love being busy. We could talk more about that too, but when I'm not busy, I'm not okay. So it wasn't about being busy. It just kind of felt like I was doing okay at a lot of things, and not really mastering a single thing. And it kind of came to fruition that I was really passionate about dance education, and I was really passionate about kind of taking all those bits and pieces and everything I had kind of learned, and seeing transformation and teaching it to kids and coming to studios and being part of that environment was really satisfying. And I just from there decided that is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to teach. I remember I was teaching at a very old small convention back in the day, and I was like, this is what I want to do, is teach. And it wasn't a matter of convention or whatever. It was just kind of I just love all these different people from different places with different backgrounds and different suburban neighborhoods and, and just being able to share all this. And then it just gets me really excited and I really love it. And that's kind of what I was really good at as a student, was like taking in other teachers, like methods and styles and pedagogies and, things like that about teaching, or remembering really specific technique stuff. And also too, I can remember in certain points in my career, like where their language kind of pivoted me. Because I had come up with like, I told you I went straight ballet for a really long time, and most of my teachers were complete Russian. And, they were just very hardcore, and where I heard them saying things, and it was that intensity and that kind of like masochistic ballet training that we, like, you have either love or hate. I loved. I remember those certain points in that where I was like, I remember when it clicked, and it was like years later, and I was like, I want to connect that sooner. And it kind of just became what I really wanted to do. And I don't take a single moment for granted of it, even to this day. Like I just still, I just kind of told you all the projects I'm involved in, because to me, it's making me better at that. So I kind of, everything in my career now, I just am trying to funnel to make me a better educator, to put me into places where I can help spread that education and be more places, and both fulfill me, but also the other side of it, teaching the students and, all that stuff. So, and that goes with choreography too. I had, when I thought college was my thing, choreography was going to be my thing. I've always loved hearing music and seeing that vision and kind of being that creative person. So it kind of also, that's kind of like, I think I call myself a dance educator first and like a choreographer second. I know some people have it switched. And so, yeah. Did that answer the question?
Absolutely. And I really I feel like it oftentimes takes a while to figure out what your passion is, and not only what your passion is, but what you're really good at. And then going from there, just kind of pivoting and going, okay, I cannot do 20 of these different things anymore, but what do I love and what am I really good at? And that's exactly what you did.
And I think a lot of times, like, dancers teach because they can instantly there's more teaching opportunities than there are dancing opportunities. And so dancers are often thrown into teaching as a way to like make money, but it's not necessarily what they're good at. And that's okay. Like I strongly believe that not every dancer is a good dance educator. Not every choreographer is a good dance educator. Not every great choreographer is a great dancer. I think everybody kind of has, there's some people who are great at all of it. But I think that it's really important that when you're stepping into these roles and you're calling yourself, like, if that's what you want to do, then just like dance, you have to really train yourself to be really good at it too, and kind of take that route. Just like professional dancers, I tell, especially like some of my college kids, or like kids, or high school, or students that I've taught in the past about it, I'm like, whatever you do when you get out of college or wherever you go, don't put yourself in a position that overwhelms what you're really out there to do. Like if you want to go to New York and you want to pursue professional dance career and you want to audition, but you have to get a job, make sure that job doesn't weigh down your need to get those auditions, and because it's really important that you always remember, like, okay, no, I'm a dancer, and like you define yourself as like, nope, I'm going to auditioning, I'm a professional performing artist. And you never let, like, if you take that teaching job doesn't become like, well, I don't have time to audition because I'm teaching, but you're still, so it's really important to me that that's kind of what happened at a certain point in my career, was like, I felt like I wasn't able to give 100% to any of the things that I was doing. It was like, I loved performing, but I also was teaching a lot, and like I wanted to be doing choreography, and I was just kind of being really torn. And I think, like, now looking back on it, I wasn't this smart then, but now looking back on it, I try to preach the message of being like, no, I think that it's okay to say, it's okay to take these jobs, and it's okay to teach at that studio, but when that studio job becomes what you do, but it's not what you started wanting to do, then you need to kind of be okay with taking the risk and being like, okay, I'm going to teach less classes in order to train myself and take class myself to keep professionally dancing, or, taking classes in choreography, or whatever it is you want to do. I think we're all students forever, especially if you're a dancer. We preach that to our kids, like, technique doesn't stop. We're always getting better. So
yeah, that's really great advice. and just keeping the end in mind. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Will this decision get you there, or will it hurt you in getting there or hinder you getting there? So that's really great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
So how do you go about getting your guest teaching gigs?
I was you had kind of prepped me with that question. So I was trying to think about, because like I said, I still don't say no a lot. I still accept, to me, I'm still very grateful to be doing
Well, and every opportunity opens the door to new opportunities, to even more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of how this all started. I think it probably started with me begging my way into a studio. To do a studio, being like, let me teach more classes, and then just kind of word of mouth, or just talking to people and just setting up a good reputation. And I do rarely, I rarely say no, because every opportunity is a gift, and I'm really grateful for it. And I think that that's kind of how it started for me. And not everybody is like, I have several colleagues who are like, Liz, you're doing too much. You probably should be saying no to some of this stuff. And I'm like, right. But even pandemic, it's like, it all kind of went away. And it's like, this is here. This could be a fleeting thing. I'm just really grateful that people want me to come teach. And, I'm very humble about it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, you want me? All right, cool. But then I try to be really good when I'm there and just be really professional, and just, that's why I'm continually trying to learn myself, and, just how can I be better for them? And when I go into a studio, what information can I give them? And,
I really like what you said about, especially at the beginning, you really reached out to everyone and said, look, this is who I am. This is what I can do. Hire me. And it really paid off. And especially in these days, I'll say that people expect these dance studios and competitions and just guest gigs to fall in their lap. Like, oh, they should see me on Instagram. They should send me a message, or we're in the same town, or we're in the same state. They should know who I am. But that's just not how it works. So you really have to do the work up front and send out your resume to everyone and send messages to everyone so that people notice you and hire you. So that was really great advice. Yeah. So when you go, because even during the pandemic, you have been here and there, dance has not stopped, and that's great. It looks different in different places, but it hasn't stopped. So when you go, do you have a specific style that you teach? Do you teach a class? Do you set a piece as well? Do you do choreography? What does it look like for you?
I usually will communicate with the studio ahead of time as to what they're looking for. So it ranges from people just wanting technique classes to wanting kind of a convention style class where you kind of come in for a short class and teach a combo. Usually choreography, that's separate, if I do a master class in choreography. And, it just varies. I really love, if we're going to talk about it, my favorite thing to come in and do is a good 2 hour, hour and a half class where we can do an hour of technique in that genre, and then do a combo or some kind of choreography sort of combo in there too. Because I think it's important. I think teaching technique is important, and teaching class is important, and class is not always a combination, although teaching in a combo or choreography within a class is definitely relevant to teaching kids new styles and how to pick up choreography and how to work with other choreographers and other teachers. And so I think that both of them really have a place. I know there's always an argument of teaching a combo, a choreography class, or teaching just choreography in a class isn't a class, but it is. There's a technique to the way you pick up things and to the way you learn and who you're learning it from and how different teachers teach, because you're not you're at one studio all the time, you're really pretty used to that. So I think it's relevant, but I also really love teaching, like a good old fashioned contemporary technique class or jazz progressions across the floor and leaps and turns and, things like that. And it also challenges me to kind of come up with new material and new ways of thinking about technique and stuff too. So I like that challenge.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for studios to bring in guest artists often. That's what they need to be doing. And I was lucky enough that when I first started dancing, I had a dance teacher who was very encouraging of me going out and taking lots of different classes and from lots of different people. And then I went to, well, back in the day, it was just North Carolina School of the Arts, but now it's the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. So I went there, there was tons of different teachers. And I think that it is so great to have guest teachers all the time, different teachers. And it's wonderful to have your core teacher, but I think it's so important, just what you said, it is a technique of hearing it and then applying it to your body and being able to pick up the choreography quickly. That is a technique in itself. So it's really awesome that these studios are having you come in. What about pricing? That is the question that everyone always asks. Do you have a set price that when someone contacts you or whenever you are talking to the person about pricing, do you have, this is my fee, this is what we do, or does it depend on the area, or what do you do?
I set it up so that, I have a website and make sure that before I kind of came out with everything, I kind of set rates. But that being said, there are studios that I go to for less but not ever more. Yeah. But it's about knowing what, making sure that your rates make it beneficial for your time. And I think that means something different for everybody. I told you, this is my job. And all I want to do is be in as many studios as possible because it fulfills something in me. And it's what I am also training myself to do, is to teach and educate. So I am sure there are people who charge way more than me with, maybe fewer years of dance, and that's okay. It's just what I've decided is what my value of my time is and what I'll do things for, and then sometimes, like I said, when I adjust those rates to less, it's because I'm coming in for 2 or 3 days, and it's well, shoot, that's a really long time. And I'll get to be there, doing my craft for that much longer. But I think it's important that when you're setting your rates, you can kind of take an industry standard, I guess, but at the end of the day, it's what kind of feels good to you. I had a friend, she works in PR in Atlanta. And I remember this is back in the day, I was trying to come up with some rates to set. It's a new year and needed to adjust them. And I was how do you set your rates? She had her own PR firm and it's very big. And she was she said that to me. She was it's, you can't judge it off anybody else. You have to kind of decide what's worth your time. And, time is money, and what feels good on the heart to throw out to a studio. And I kind of do that sometimes. When I was doing it, I kind of sat and was if someone called me and I said this was my rate, would I feel guilty for asking too much, or would I feel really good if they gave me that? Mm-hmm. And good to know that they could afford it and I wanted to be there for that much. And I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like how you also mentioned that you have a website. It's really important to have, so that whenever someone sees you, finds you somewhere, or you send them an email, they can click on your website and they can kind of see you in a glance. They can see pictures of you, who you are, what you've done, what you do now, things like that. So it's really important to have that website just as a base.
I think it's important to have just the professionalism around it. Have a social media handle that is true to who you are. Have all the things so you remain a professional, and that's your job, and that's what you're putting out there. It's your business card. And we forget that dancers, our business card is this. It's our image. It's this hooded sweatshirt. Yeah. It's what we put, it's who we are. And I've seen a lot of bad things happen on social media to great people. And I think it's important that you remember that like you're kind of a public figure when you become an educator or a professional dancer, because people start to look up to you. So just make sure you're staying really professional in the things that are open to the public. I mean, have a private life, that's fine, but.
Right. Can you tell me something about maybe your favorite experience while guest teaching, and then maybe one not so favorite experience while you taught?
I don't know if I have like one single favorite thing. I will say showing up at a new studio for me and seeing where these dancers train is like I don't know if anybody else has the same feeling, great. But for me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, great dance comes from here. And this feels so good. And not like great dance comes from here. No, not a question, but kind of like, oh my gosh, it feels so cool that studios are so different. And like where people are training. I've been in studios that have like pillars in the middle of the room, but the dancers learn to like navigate around them. It's a normal thing for them. And like there's, and I just think it's so cool to know like how diverse and large this dance world is. Still amazes me, but how small it is. It's like, oh my gosh, there's like, no one's training in the same place. Our worlds are so different, but we're all like here dancing and doing, I don't know, that to me is my favorite feeling. And I also just love the energy of it. I don't have a worse experience guest teaching. No, I can think of. I'll get off of this and I'll be like, oh, there was
that one. I also I really love seeing dancers' faces. I love it. Just how studios can be so different and the energy inside the studio. Yeah. It's so great. Well, thank you for sharing all of those. Can I do a lightning round of questions with you?
Of course.
The first thing that comes to your mind, whatever is fine.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one is, what is your favorite show on Netflix?
The Office.
Oh, so good. How many times?
My family's watching it downstairs right now. I can hear it.
I love that. I love it. It is, I know that nothing can beat The Office. It's just so good. So what is your favorite dance movie?
Center Stage.
Oh, mine too. What is your favorite dance memory? It can be span your entire life.
Oh, I have a lot of good dance memories. I would say, I have a really fun, I don't know if this is my favorite dance memory, but one of my first dance memories is getting my very first ballet tutu. And we used to get them in our little bags of costumes, and like, I just remember how proud I was. And this story is long and stupid, but I was like so excited to go out to the car, and like I had my dance tutu, and I go out in the car line because we had like a little circle that pulled up, and the lady's like, Liz, your dad's here. And I go marching out there, and I like go and open the door to the car, and it's not my dad. I had gotten in the wrong car, and I was like, oh my gosh. And and I was like holding my costume, and I was like so thrown off. And my dad had gotten it, like was test driving a new car and had come to pick me up in that. And so he's like 3 cars down, and I hear him like honking. I was so embarrassed.
Funny how certain memories just stick in your brain. They'll never leave. And how old were you? You couldn't have been like little.
I was like 6 or 7.
Right.
I just remember being so excited and being like, my God, oh God.
Yeah. Oh, that is so
I have some really great dance memories, like lots of great performances, and just like some really great stuff from my career. Other than that, that was a tragic.
I know. You never forget the like traumatic experience.
Right.
No, I'll never forget that. And then last one, what is something that you love to do besides dancing or teaching? Something outside the dance world.
I really love to cook.
Yay.
I really love to cook. I've been a pescatarian most of my life. And since like January, we've recently become vegans. So it's been really fun to like find new recipes and like really kind of go the plant-based route. And I've always loved to cook. I don't like to bake. I can't bake anything. Don't ask me to cook dessert. I'm terrible at it, but
Really? Yeah.
I'm a good cook. So
Liz, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
yeah, you can find me. I'm on Instagram at Liz B Dance. I'm also on Facebook, Liz Borom. And then my website, what we were talking about, if you want to go visit that,
Yes.
is www.lizbdance.com.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much for
Thank
chatting
you.
tonight. This has been great. And I hope you have a great week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.